If you follow Autocar India closely, this car will come as no surprise to you. We broke the news way back in January 2023 and now we get to see it for the first time.
Here it is in all its glory, the new 5 Series, and it is the long wheelbase version. 5175 mm long. That's longer by 100 millimeters than the other long wheelbase car in this segment, the E-Class. But it's also a whole lot longer in the wheelbase. That translates to a whole lot more space on the inside, and there's a lot more to talk about outside and in. So let's get going.
Now, of course, the expanded dimensions are the big talking point, and as I mentioned, at nearly 5.2 meters long with a 3.1 meter long wheelbase, it's bigger than the current E-Class long wheelbase. Actually, it's larger even than the next gen E-Class long wheelbase, which is due to be launched later this year. But when you stretch a car, it's often difficult to get the proportions right. So, have they?
Now, the design of all BMWs of late can be a little bit polarizing, and 5 Series in particular tend to take a little time to grow on you. This one hasn't quite grown on me yet, but I'll give it some time. But check it out, it's very bold, it is very in your face. These light gold accents are part of the package to give you some of that boldness and enhance this gigantic grille up front here.
If that wasn't enough, the grille can also light up at night in case you want to really show off.
The headlamps, they harken back to the E60. If you remember that one, it was the first 5 Series to come to India back in 2007. And you can see that in the headlamps that sort of flick up towards the sides. And you do get a new version of those Corona ring headlamps, which are these vertical LED signatures. There's a lot going on in the front bumper as well. It's far more vertical than it ever has been before, but that all serves to add a bit more drama. Now, as we move over to the side, you'll see quite a bit of sculpture around the side, but quite disappointingly, a pair of 18-inch alloy wheels that looks small for this massive car. Although I do hear there is a set of 19s on offer as an option as well.
What doesn't help is that the new 5 uses slim and tall 225/55 R18 tires at all 4 corners, unlike the previous 5 that got mixed size 245/45 and 275/40 front and rear tires, which seriously helped its stance. What's more, there's a visible gap in the wheel arches, but that should mean ground clearance is decent too.
This grey paint shade is quite fetching, and more of these gold accents over the sides surrounding the windows. Down there you'll see a little black strip side skirt at the base, which sort of helps reduce the bulk of this car because, well, there's so much of it. It is now the largest car in its class. The big news is this longer, larger rear door. Goes a whole lot further back this time around, and it ends in a very diluted version, if you ask me, of the Hofmeister kink, the traditional BMW design signature, but it's kind of made up for by this 5 in the C pillar, which I think looks really cool. Now, lifting this up, the whole door comes out, including the quarter glass, unlike in the E-Class where it's a separate piece that's attached to the bodywork. Now, as we go further back, it's a much simpler look with a new take on the L-shaped tail lamps that have been traditional for BMW, but it's, I think, a lot cleaner than previous 5 Series. But as you go lower down, there's more of those gold accents and a really sporty looking diffuser effect on the rear bumper.
The boot capacity is listed at 500 litres, but the loading bay is quite shallow thanks to the compartment for the spare tyre.
And what is new for us, at least here in India, is this badge. It says 530 Li, clearly letting everybody know that you've got a long wheelbase 5 Series. But what do you think about the look of the 5 Series long wheelbase on the whole? Let us know down in the comments.
With that, let's step inside, and we should start at the back because that's where the focus has been with this long wheelbase 5 Series.
It's got a wheelbase of 3105 mm. That's the longest in the class, longer even than the E-Class, and it really shows. I'm just under 5'8". That's set to my driving position, and I can even sit cross-legged here, no problem. But they made some interesting choices with the spec. For one, the sunroof is panoramic, but it's not openable. It's a single fixed frame, and that gives a lot more glass area rather than being able to open it. I think that's a good choice, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. These windows are massive. They really let in a lot of light, but there are no sunshades, neither is there a shade at the back.
Incidentally, those are both things that were available on the previous 5 Series.
It's got 4-zone climate control, and that's really good. You can set independent temperatures left and right. It's also got a wireless charger back here. But then comes the other interesting thing. This seat is superbly cushioned. It's very thickly bolstered. It surrounds you, comes around to your sides and shoulders, and gives you a lot of support and comfort. And yes, I will say that it is very, very plush, and you can just sink right into it. But you can't adjust it. There is no backrest adjust like there is in the E-Class. Now, BMW says that they deliberately did that, chose a 31-degree fixed angle, which I will admit is a nice relaxed angle. It's not too upright.
For reference, the E-Class backseat at full recline is 37 degrees. And the reason BMW chose the fixed seat, they say, is that it allows them to use thicker cushions. Reclining seats require more space to move around, and therefore the cushions have to be thinner. The logic makes sense, and yes, this seat is super comfy, but reclining seats just give you that proper business class feel, don't they? What you also don't get is the 7 Series fold-down theatre screen that's available on the long wheelbase 5 Series in China, but you can add 2 conventional tablet screens as optional extras. Speaking of features, we haven't got the full official list yet, but highlights we spotted include front seat ventilation, matrix LED headlamps, an 18-speaker 655-watt Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and 6 USB Type-C ports. There's also a more robust ADAS suite than the previous 5 Series, and that includes front collision warning and braking, lane keep assist and parking assist, but no adaptive cruise control. And with that, let's check out the front seats.
Now, with this latest generation of the 5 Series, it's lost some of that driver focus in favor of a more techie look. Yes, the screen is angled slightly towards the driver, but the whole layout is quite horizontal and very, very luxurious. I'll give it that. It does borrow a lot from the 7 Series, including this lovely crystalline light bar, although it's split up here unlike the 7 Series where it's continuous. Overall, it doesn't have that grandeur of the 7, but it does look more techy and a little bit more cocooning in the 5 Series here. What I also like is this very well integrated center console with the wireless phone chargers, cup holders, and all your necessary controls in the central bit over there. The 14.9-inch touchscreen and the 12.3 instrument cluster are all very clear and very crisp. But as I've said in the past, this latest generation of iDrive 8.5 is quite cluttered and does give you far too much to play around. I wish it was a little bit simpler. Few interesting details. This rather unusual texture on the wood that gives you a sort of lightning effect. I don't know what they were going for there. And the fact that the AC vents are hidden in the dashboard, you can't really see them, and you do adjust them with this little digital lever over here. Quite interesting stuff, but let's see how it works in practice when we do our full review. Another thing to note is that this is the first BMW that has a completely 100% vegan interior when it comes to upholstery. Others have been part vegan before, but this one, even down to the steering wheel, is all vegan. What do you think about the interior of the new 5 Series? Let us know down in the comments.
After it goes on sale on July 24th, the new 5 Series long wheelbase will not only replace the old 5 Series, but eventually the 6 Series GT as well. And when you consider that the more expensive and backseat-focused 6 GT outsold the 5 Series significantly in recent years, it's clear that the focus in this segment has shifted firmly to chauffeur-driven customers. So the decision to go long wheelbase is no surprise, especially given the success of the 3 Series Grand Limousine and of course the Mercedes E-Class long wheelbase. With this repositioning will no doubt come a jump in price, and with all the additions we expect this new gen model to be more expensive than even the current 6 Series GT. Moreover, its arch rival the E-Class is due for a new generation model this year too, and its price will no doubt go up as well. Stay tuned for our full review, which will come out soon, but one thing is clear. If you're a luxury sedan buyer, your choice is about to become a whole lot more exciting.